Hello and welcome to Move with Soul, the podcast where we talk about somatic embodiment and astrology and ways for you to live your best, most embodied, fullest, pleasurable, sensual life by being you and the tools to do that. I'm Jeannie. I'm your host, a somatic embodiment coach. And I I swear to God, I'm gonna start calling this my podcasting shirt because every time I go to record, this is what I pick up. Whenever I get dressed, I always like kind of just scan my closet and I wait for like that little ping of excitement or upliftment to like a certain color or what do I feel drawn to wear because colors are very much an expression of your frequency, right? And they convey different messages. So anyway, every time I go to record, I pick this like blush pink shirt week after week after week. So I don't know what it's about, but we're rolling with it. I always trust it. I was even like, I can't do it again. And I was like, well, that's what I want to wear. Anyway, here we are. And in today's episode, I'm going to share something that's a little bit more on the personal side of things that I do, my process. But I'm sharing it because if I would have had this information or this perspective a couple of years ago, I would probably be further along in my business, in my life, in the things that I want to do. So I'm sharing it with you now in the hopes that whenever this message reaches you and finds you, it is exactly in the right moment. And it is about that fact that you can literally do it your way. And you might be like, Jeannie, I know that. I have autonomy. Yes, of course you do. But I want to remind you, that you have literally the complete and utter freedom to do it your way. Of course, there's going to be circumstances and things that are like exceptions. But when it comes to your decisions in your life and the things that you want to build, the things that you want to create, the type of people you want to be around, the ways you want to be in relationships, you have complete control. You call the shots, you write your own rules. What's steering this topic in this moment, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a backstory. So, I recently launched in person classes at Body Sol Savannah. Having an in person element to this online community that I have has been a dream. I started off wanting an online business. I'm going to even go back further. I was overseas traveling and working abroad. I worked in tourism. I was a backpacker. I moved and I lived in a bunch of different countries and worked in a bunch of different countries. I wanted that to be my life. I remember meeting digital nomads back in like 2017 being like, "Oh my God, you cracked the code," before it became such a thing during the pandemic. I was like enamored by these people and their lives and the ability to have this flexibility and freedom because what I would do is I would have to completely start my life over every time I moved or went to a different country, find a new job, figure out visas, figure out accommodation, figure out phones, everything, right? But these people could take their careers with them wherever they went. Anyway, so I'm working abroad, I'm living abroad, right? And then I started to get that call of like, okay, I love traveling, I love connecting with people and seeing the world. But my heart was like, yoga, ooh, like spirituality, ooh, helping people on a deeper level. Like I really was getting the pull towards that. So I went back home to Chicago, of all places, the place where I said I would never move. So you'll likely won't hear me saying never again because you just don't never know. I went back to Chicago and I started studying and trying, working towards figuring out my career, which is my current business that I have now. A big thing, and this is 2019, just before the pandemic, I was like, I want an online business. I want to be an online coach. Like I want an online business so I can travel, so I can go, so I can have that flexibility, right? That was like the basis of like, okay, I'll have this new career that's not in tourism, but I want to have the flexibility to be able to go where I please. And I knew it was going to take a long time to build. It certainly is. I'm still very much in that process. But anyway, after building up teaching in person and then trying to switch completely online, I was like, I really miss being in person with people. I really miss like seeing people and being in their energy. It's a totally different experience. There's so much communication that happens when you're just in someone's field. I do a lot of work online. I'm even starting to do energy work online. Believe me, I can see and feel and touch and all the things. If you had a session with me, we're very much connected, but there's still that barrier and there's just a different element to in person. But I was going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like, do I really want to start in person classes because there was just that story in my head of like, well, if I have that, I can't go whenever I want. And like, of course, there is different thoughts because if I have that, then I can't just pick up and go wherever I want. There's people depending on me. There's people saying, hey, she says she's going to be here at this time. Where are you, right? But over time, the desire to be with people in person far outweighed any cons or stories of not having like complete and utter flexibility, right? And I noticed not even just the desire wise, but like things started to kind of stagnate without it, without that in person landing space. My energy started to stagnate without it. So I had an opportunity to do so at the start of this year, 2026, and it has been so much fun and so nourishing to just like be in person with people and teach the way that I want to teach, not for another studio, and like really be putting roots down here and seeing people starting to make friends with one another and like a community starting to build. It's just like, oh my God, pinch me. Is this real? Right. And all this to say why we're talking about that you can do it your way on this episode today is because I'm about to step away from my in person classes and in person element of my business for 2 weeks while I go down to Costa Rica to work out some extra details for this retreat coming up in June. And it's all the stories start coming back up like, oh my God, like, can I really go? Am I going to destroy everything that's been building? Is the momentum going to stop? Are people going to fall away? I've even had other people, I can like feel like anxiety pinging and like pooling down here in my solar plexus. And I've had other people, other creative people being like, what are you students going to do? Like, "Are you sure?" And it's like people mirroring back my own insecurities, they're just picking up on my vibe that's like underneath it. But I'm doing it anyways because this is important to me and being able to travel is what makes me the teacher that I am and the space holder that I am because of what I receive when I go to these places, the way that it nourishes my frequency and expands my capacity to then share and hold space and show up and work hard for others. So, here's to say that you can do it your way. And I am recording this before I leave. So if everything collapses, we can revisit this episode. I'm going to post it tomorrow. I'm recording one day before. So we can revisit back. Maybe I'll make a part two of this, like, when it's really fully embodied, like after the fact, right? But yeah, I'm doing it anyways. And it's like if I would have let those stories get in the way of like, oh, I can't like open this Body and Soul Savannah here in person because I want to go to Costa Rica for a couple weeks, or I want to go here. What if I want to go back to Chicago to visit family? All those beautiful experiences that have already occurred of the people coming together and the, people learning and getting into their bodies, like all the workshops we've already had. I would have robbed all of those people of that just because of my own insecurities, just because of my own logic in my head putting out this whole story that if you do this, you can't do that. But it's just like a lot of times it's just not true. Sometimes, yeah, of course it's true. But if you want to create your own way, and if you're listening to this episode, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're drawn to my work, I can already assume that about you, that you want to do things differently, bring about a new way of being into the world. And it doesn't have to mean you're going to go out and start a business, but just like the way that you interact, the way that you view things, your perspective, like you're here to do it your way. And you've probably struggled because of that. You've probably experienced pain because of that and loss of relationships and people misunderstanding you and then all the insecurities that build up from that. And it's hard, right? It's a challenging path, but my God, is it worth it? My God, is it worth it to not fit yourself into somebody's box or to fit yourself into some box that you think that they want you and that they're not even pressed about because they're too busy worrying about themselves? Yeah. And when I was thinking about this conversation, right, I was thinking back to the moment that this all kind of clicked into place for me. And this was a couple months back. And I credit this to one of my mentors, Ellie. She's my business mentor. She is amazing. She's so feisty and smart and wise and amazing. And I just love her energy so much. And I love the influence that she's had on me and my business and my growth. And so she was working with me over the summer. I said, okay, I want to grow in this specific way, but there's something, off. So we went full detective mode. 'cause she's also does embodiment too. So she like, we work with the body. It's like we speak that same language, you know? And so we go in, we're full detective mode, what feels off. And what we uncovered was this. So I used to do 90-minute one-on-one client sessions. Really deep, transformative things happened in those 90 minutes. But just because maybe because I'm a Gemini or, business is a trial and error thing, I started experimenting with other lengths of sessions. And I noticed that whether we had 45 minutes, an hour, or 90 minutes, the impact was still more or less the same. Just with the longer sessions, it left more time for dialogue, more time for kind of like catching up and touching on other things. But that was where I noticed I had an energy leak because showing up for one 90-minute session and it is like full focused, full like go time. Like I'm holding space for people's deepest, darkest things and their emotions and their emotional reactions and really fully giving my undivided attention for 90 minutes. I started to notice that I would feel like I could do like one. I could do maybe 2 sessions per day maximum, but like one really go well, I could show up for a 90-minute session. For somatic embodiment coaching specifically. We were talking, I was like, "Oh, this is just where I feel off is holding these 90-minute sessions, and if I wanna grow, if I wanna be able to welcome in more people and show up for them 100% the way that is most important to me, I can't hold more than what I'm currently doing." So we went back and forth and decided, okay, I'm going to switch my sessions to 45 minutes, my coaching sessions, and make up for the extra dialogue time in Voxer, which is the messaging app where we go back and forth, me and my clients. And I was like, but I have these people's contracts already drawn up. I'm going to finish the contract. And then, after their contract's finished, I'll swap it over and I'll let them know, hey, we're changing things up. And Ellie goes, she goes, "Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You could absolutely wait till the contract finishes. Or you could show up and explain to them what's happened and say, hey, I want to be of best service to you. And this is what I've realized that I actually am a way better coach if I'm doing these 45-minute sessions and I can show up and we can, really do our thing in this time. And this is how I want to change things. I'd love to hear how you feel about that." Or, something along those sorts. And I was like, "Ah." I was like, "What? No way. No way could I do that." Like, all the stories came in, and I was like, "Oh," she's like, "Yeah," Ellie goes, "They're both good options." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." I felt like I had no right to go in there and change it, and when she first told me that, and then, I sat with it. In the end, I didn't end up changing it to 45 minutes, but I changed them to 60. I think I added an extra session to the client to, like, make up for lost time, so I altered it a little bit. I didn't go full force, like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." But she, in that moment, planted that seed in me of, like, "Hey, I can do this any way that I want to." I mean, if I have the guts to come out and build my own business from nothing and face the shadows, face the insecurity, face all the crap that comes along with it that you don't really see in my pretty little Instagram posts. It's like, yeah, I have autonomy to do it my way. And the thing is that I have integrity. I want to be of best service and make the most impact that I can and show up for my people in the best way possible. So my integrity is good. My intention is there. Why wouldn't I do it my way? Why? Whose voice is in my head telling me otherwise? What stories do I have? What fears? What am I projecting onto my clients that they're going to think? Or my people or students or whoever, right? So I'm just sharing this because that was such a pivotal moment for me of like, wow, yes, there might be fear involved. Yes, things might happen. Yes, people might misunderstand. Like, there was, of course, a risk of these clients being like, what the hell? I'm being pissed off. There's a risk of my students going and finding another class that they like and then they don't come back to mine. Absolutely. But why would I deprive myself of being the best teacher and the best coach and the best person I can be in efforts to control somebody else's behavior? Who am I to even say what they should do? or how they should react. That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure that I align myself with my intention, with my word, and take care of myself, take care of my energy so I can show up and do my job, so I can show up and do what I came here to do. And this is about my coaching business, but you can copy paste this to any situation in your life, relationships, your relationship with yourself, your movement routine, your existing career, your hobbies, literally anywhere and everywhere. You have full autonomy to do it your way. To do it your way. And we got to thank Sagittarius, Ellie, for this wisdom, for that moment. And I'm just sharing it here for you to have as well. And ask yourself, like, where are you holding yourself back? And what story is underneath it? And is it true? Do you want it to be true moving forward? Or can you let it go? Can you trust? Can you make the commitment to yourself that you're going to do it your way, and your way is best going to be of service to you, therefore, the other people that you are around and interacting with? So I'll let you know how it goes after the 2 weeks. If the studio's still standing, which I know it will be, because whenever you do anything from the heart, it's like there's so much more at play sorting things out for you. Like the people just feel that and they come for themselves to do it their way, and then vice versa. And then, like, we're around a whole bunch of freaking leaders and everyone's in their power. Like, right? That's what it's about. So let me know how this episode landed for you. Do you enjoy hearing these little inner workings of my brain? How did it apply to you? What's going on in your life? Let me know. This is very much a conversation, as is everything that I do. So I love to hear from you. And if you're watching this in real time, I mean, shameless plug this whole episode, come take class when you come back, or when I come back, rather. Or if you're watching this at a later date, go ahead and check out the schedule at bodyandsoul.online/classes. I've also got a retreat coming up in Costa Rica in June 2026. This one's women only, but it's about the woman you're becoming. And if you're navigating these kinds of themes as you're stepping more into yourself and into your leadership, you're going to want to be there. It's going to be really transformative and fun. And I mean, just getting together with other women is like so healing. And like the women that are around this little space here are fucking amazing. So healing in and of itself. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. Stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you next week.